Let's go through LeetCode 227, basic calculator 2. For this question, it will give us a string, and let's return the result on this kind of string expression. So this kind of string, it is a mathematical expression which has a plus, minus, multiple, divide sign, and also some numerical numbers. So we cannot use the mathematical like evil function to get a result, but we need to um, write it some way, right? So the thing is that we remember what we do is that previously is that we use a stack, right? So if we go through those character by character. If we meet a sign, for example, plus, minus, divide, multiple, divide, right? That means we already evaluate this part. So we push this part into stack. Then go to the next, right? And when we go to next, we have the sign um, to be updated to this kind of signs, right? So then we move to the next part. For example, we go to the meet another signs, right? That means um, this number is already being calculated. So we based on this sign, if it is plus or minus, right? We just push to the stack plus or minus this number. So if it is multiple or divide, so what we do is that we need to pop the previous number out and a multiple or divide by current one, right? And then we get a result, then push back to the stack. And then in the end, what we do is that we have all of these values pushed to the stack. Then we sum them up, right? But doing like this, the time complexity is O(n), right? But space, it will be O(n) as well. So, but the thing that when we observe this kind of question, right, we'll find if we have previous, for example, we meet a new sign, right? We have this kind of previous sign is plus or minus, right? Then the previous sign, the part before previous sign already been calculated. So actually we can use this, add this to our sum variable already, right? We don't need a stack because we'll find this part already been calculated. We never use this anymore. So if it is plus or minus, right? And if it is this previous sign, if it is multiple or divide, so what happened? So we can use a last variable, right? Last variable which just calculate uh, this part's value. And if with multiple or divide, our last just update to the last multiple or last divided by current and update as a new last, right? And when we go to the end, right? We have sign here, and also we update the last as this one, right? And so we'll add the last to our result one more time. So doing like this, we don't need a stack, right? We just need a last variable. So let's go through an example. For example, we have 3 minus minus 2 multiplied by 9 divided by 3 and plus 7, right? So let's see. Let's go through this step by step, right? So here we have last is 0, right? And initially we set last equals 0 and sign equals plus, right? And current is set as 0, right? So what we do is that we also need a sum, right? Sum equals 0. So here, after we go through here, right? So what we do is that we'll have when we go to the next one, right? We find a sign. That means uh, we find an operator, right? That means we can calculate our current to be 3, right? And if it is an operator, that we'll see the previous sign, right? It is if it is this sign, that is actually the previous sign is this part, right? And the last is current is 0, is before this part, right? So we can consider 0 plus, like a 0 plus before this 3 minus this expression, right? So we'll say if this sign is plus or minus, that means this last already been calculated, right? Then we can add our result to our last to our result. Okay. So if we go here, we'll see the last is 0 and sign is plus. So we can add 0 to our result. Then what we do is that we also need to set the last to be 3, right? And also we will set the sign to be minus. So then we go here, right? So we'll find current, and we'll find a number. Current is 2, right? And then we go to the multiple, right? So multiple, that means we meet a sign, right? So that means the current we finish the evaluation for the current. Then we'll see this sign is minus and 3, and is minus, right? So that means the last 3 is already be able to calculate. So we can add this to our result. Then we are going to update our sign to be multiple, then go to next, right? So we are going to evaluate current. Also, we need the last to be 2, right? And the current needs set to 9. So if we go to this one, right? That means we find the previous it is multiple, right? So what we do is that we will not add to our result, but our last will be calculated from 2 multiplied by 9 will be 18, right? And then we update sign to be divide. So then we go to next. We'll find the current is going to 3. And then go to next. We find another sign, right? Then we find previous, it is divide operator. So that means the last has been not been calculated, finished yet, right? So what we do is that we need to update the last to be 18 divided by 3. So that is 6. And then what we do is that we update sign to be plus. And then we go to next, right? So I find the current to be 7. So because it's at the last it is at the end of the string, right? So we also need to set the last to be 7, right? So in the end, we'll find that there is another last hasn't been added to our result. So the sum here, right? It is finished. Then we'll check the sign is a plus, right? So because it's a plus, sorry, this is not 7 yet. because it's a plus, right? So we need to have 6 last added to our result. So that will be 9, right? And then we go to the last. We'll um find the it's because the last already been calculated. And now in the end we'll find we'll also update. We'll update our last to be our current, right? So after finish this, we'll find the last is not add to our result. So we'll add 7 again, should be 16, right? So let's write code for this. Um, so we'll say if s equals null or s is empty, just return 0, right? So we know we need a current equals to 0 and the last equals to 0, right? And the result equals to 0 and n equals s dot length. So what we do is that we need a char sign because um, plus, right? So this means it is just like we have a last 0 plus expression, right? Just as like we add a 0 plus our s before our string, right? So this is last, this is sign, right? So it will not affect our result. Then what we do is that for if I equals to 0, I smaller than n, I plus plus. So we needed to have char c equals s dot char at I, right? So let's say if a character is a digit c, then we're going to have current equals current multiplied by 10 divided by c minus 0, right? So, um, so let's say, if we met a character, right, or we are sitting at the end of the string, then we are able to um, evaluate evaluate um, last time current, right? So 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 if we met a, sign, that means this part, right? We are able to evaluate last sign um, current. So there are two options, right? So if it's a plus minus, right? So we can add this to our result. If it is multiple divide, then we just update last. Then we'll say if I equals n minus 1 or is operator C, right? So we need a help function. Wait, Boolean is operator char C. Return C equals plus or C equals minus or C equals multiple or C equals divide, right? So what I say so let's say if we this part, that means we can calculate do something with this last sign and current, right? So so let's say well based on what this sign it is. So we'll say if sign equals plus, right? Then we can add uh, plus or minus, right? Or sign um, let's use separate because um, let's because I think that from if it is a plus or minus, right, we can add last to our result, right? But the thing is that we also need to update last to this number, right? It can be positive or negative depending on this kind of signs. So let's still separate sign as plus or minus. So in this case, we can have result should add equal to last and last equals current, right? And we'll say else if sign equals minus, right? Then we'll have result should plus equal last. And the last should be minus current, right? So 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 this sign, right? This current and the last can have negative numbers, right? Um then we'll say else if sign equals multiple. Then what we do is that we just have last multiple equal to current, right? And we'll say else if it is um, else if sign equals. Actually, we don't need the else, right? This because it can only be those kind of. So just have last divide equal to current, right? And also, that means we finish the expression do this part, right? Sign current. And then we should update uh, our sign to our new sign, right? So we'll have sign equals C, and we'll set current equals to 0. And then we'll find in the end, right, there is the last is the last value is not being evaluated, right? Because this is what we do is this is current, and in the end, right, this is sign, right? In we'll find we only update this last um or so this last is still either be separated as this or be separated as this has not been added to our result, right? So we should still add the last to our result. Result with a plus equal to last. And then return the result, right? So this will be all in time complexity and constant space complexity. We can also write a Python code for this. Um, so let's say if not s, that's a return 0, right? And we need a um, for example, let's say n equals length s, and we'll have current last result in sign, right? Equals 0, 0, 0, and sign initial set as plus. So what we write is for I say in enumerate S. So we'll say if C is digit, then we'll have current equals current multiplied by 10, divide plus, you can have C minus 0, right? Then we'll say if C is operator, right? We can, that is in Python, we can write like this, is in plus minus multiple divide, or I equals n minus 1, right? In these two cases, we should express the last sign and current. So we'll say if sign equals plus, then we'll have result should plus equal to last, and the last should set as current, right? And let's say else if sign equals minus, then we should have result should plus equal to last, and we're going to have last equals minus current, and we'll say else if sign equals multiple, then we'll have last equals multiple equal to current. And for the divide, else, for the divide, there is one issue is that we cannot write this one, so this is wrong. This is wrong. The reason is that in Python, for example, it is trying to get a flow of the results. So we cannot write this because in Python, for example, we have minus 3 divided by 2. This one is not getting minus 1, right? It's getting minus 2. So what we need is that we should have last equals int last divided by current. Then like this, the minus 3 divided by 2, and get a int operator. It will return minus 1, right? So this will be our what we want. So in the end, we need to have sign equals C and the current equals to 0. And we'll need to have because for the last, when we finish this expression, the last one was not added to our result, right? So we missed this last, and in the end, just return result. C is digit. Current is current equals you should write ORD minus, right? Of course, you can also ORD C minus ORD this. So this will be the code.